The views expressed in this program do not necessarily reflect those of this station.
Welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan, a WBKB News public affairs program. Insights deals with the issues affecting those in the community, as well as Northeast Michigan and the state. And now, Insights into Northeast Michigan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Insights into Northeast Michigan. I'm Lindsay DeLucia. Today we're talking about the proposed truck route here in the city. And first off, we're going to be talking with City Manager Greg Sundin and City Engineer Rich Sullinger to tell us a little bit more about this. So thank you guys so much for joining us and welcome.
Happy to be here.
So if you could first start off by introducing me to the topic a little bit. Tell me when this came about, if it's been proposed in the past.
It's actually been a project that's been an ongoing part of our thought process. If you look at our current truck route, we do have a gap in it from the north side down to get to the south side of the river in a convenient manner. And about probably 10 years ago, we did look at pretty much this same route as an alternative or as that connection to fill the gap. The problem back then was a grant funding. We always look to see if we can get grants to help on the costs. And the problem that we had, most grants that you get from the state are based on job creation. And we didn't have a project. So there needs to be a private sector project that produces jobs that determine pretty much the amount of the grant and are required to have a grant. We didn't have that, so there was no funding. Then approximately a year ago, the Austin Brothers Beer Company was created, and they were looking at various sites, and they chose a site back off of Johnson Street that was basically right along the route that we had proposed a number of years ago. They now had a project where they were investing money, creating jobs, and that's what allowed us to look at it again. This time around, though, it was the impetus came more from the chamber and some of their members who were asking about the possibility and set up a meeting with myself, Rich, and the mayor. And from there, we were asked and directed, requested by the mayor to work to see if it was practical or not. And that's basically how it all started.
And how did you guys take that request? Did you see it as practical at first and you thought, great, this is kind of the opportunity for us now to bring this that's been in the past couple of years proposed to existence now? How did you feel about that when it was first brought up?
Well, now that we had a project, it made it a little more viable, and we basically resurrected the plans from 10 years ago and pursued that with the various funding agencies. And it was a rather lengthy process to meet the satisfaction or the requirements that they have to allow us to at least receive the grant funding that we did. But without the Austin Brothers, we wouldn't have had any funding at all. And we're looking at a rather expensive project that would be something beyond our capabilities to just take on locally.
And so Austin Brothers, obviously, the brewery's location did a lot for determining where this route would be. Tell me why the city or you guys think that it is a route that is in a better place than where trucks are needing to be traveling now.
Well, going back to when the truck route originated, it was stemmed from the complaints that we received from the folks on Long Lake Avenue, the residential area. Trucks were traveling through that residential area. We developed a truck route that prohibited them from going through that residential area. This route that we have selected basically travels through industrial zone property of the city. Therefore, we can do it without negative impact to the residential areas, provide benefit to the residents and the businesses in that portion of the city that right now have to travel out of the city in quite a ways to be able to access the state trunk line.
And like you said, you heard from residents during this time, the city does have to deal with a lot of that, hearing the feedback from the community, and a lot of people think this is a great thing, a lot of people think not so great, right?
Yes, any project like this. This is probably the first new road construction, a street, where we're developing a new street since probably 10 to 12 years ago when Commerce Drive was developed. So it is, any new project like this has those who are supportive, those who question it. And we have the same thing here. It came out in our public input session. Certainly the neighbors along Long Lake are more supportive of the project the way it is designed now than some of it previously. Because I believe when we first looked at it back 10 years ago, it was primarily to connect through Elm Street.
Yes.
And that creates a problem for the neighbors because it's bringing it right out into the residential area.
Right.
This time, we, as an option, began to look going behind Wolverine Industries, staying along the railroad tracks and coming out right opposite Commerce Drive. Obviously, that meant going and getting an easement from Wolverine, which is part of Omni. We are in discussions with them on that. In concept, they're supportive, but we have to work out details. But by doing that, we avoid the residential altogether. And that's a big plus.
Of course.
When we get down to Johnson Street, then other issues come into play. And especially if you go west towards the college, because you do have Alpena Community College, you have facilities, classrooms on both sides of the streets, you have students, probably faculty as well as other workers who do cross the street at the crosswalk, and there is concern about increased truck traffic.
And are there any solutions going forward? I mean, what plans are there going forward? I know the council does want plans to move forward with this, so what should we expect now?
Well, right now we have a number of steps that we have to go through to bring this to a point where we can decide if it in fact is going to be built. Funding is always a big question. We still have property issues that we have to resolve. We have some environmental issues that we're waiting on some information from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality on. And then we're going to address the issues that were raised with Alpena Community College. What options do we have? This is in no way a done deal at this point in time because at any one of these junctures we could hit a stumbling block that we cannot overcome. We hope to bring it forward, to make it happen. And I'm confident that we probably can, but there's no guarantees at this point in time anyway.
Okay, well, thank you so much for all the information from the city's standpoint on this issue. We really appreciate your time and you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And coming up next, we'll be speaking with Jackie Krawczak, the CEO and president of the Chamber of Commerce, to tell us more about the spearheading of this project, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Insights into Northeast Michigan, everyone. I'm Lindsay DeLucia, and today we are talking about the proposal of a new truck route here in town, and we just spoke with two from the city, Greg Sundin and Rich Sullinger. Now we're going to be speaking with Jackie Krawczak, the CEO and president of the Alpena Chamber of Commerce. So, Jackie, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for letting me join you.
Of course. So, tell me a little bit, we talked with Greg and Rich about the city's side of it, how it was presented to them, by you guys. So tell me why the chamber brought it up after so many years of it being talked about at that point.
Well, it really, so the group of businesses that do a lot of truck driving or commercial traffic businesses, so it's not just semis, it's a lot of different businesses. They had been looking at this for a long time, and finally, we had worked on another project with them, and so they kind of saw that as an opportunity to talk to me about other issues they're having, and this was one of them. And so we looked at it and we said, yeah, this is definitely something that would make business easier for this group, and it would help them save money and save time. And it affects a huge number of our businesses. And so we definitely were willing to kind of take a deeper look at it, talk to the city about it. And it was great timing, because with the new brewery opening, it just all worked out perfectly, that it was a good opportunity to start that conversation again.
And what types of businesses, or how does it affect other businesses besides the trucking industry?
Well, if you really look at the big picture, it affects all of us, because the businesses that are doing trucking, their final products are, they have extra cost tagged onto them, because when you're only getting 2 or 3 miles to the gallon, when you have to go 7 miles one way out of your way, that's a big added cost that they're actually passing on to the consumer. So in the biggest picture, it affects all of us. But if you narrow that down a little bit, almost every business that offers a product, and even some of them that offer services that have to use large equipment for those services, they have to use the truck route. And we're, like I said, we're not just talking about semis, we're talking about any commercial vehicle. So you think about the people that do, like maybe your fire extinguisher, they have a commercial vehicle, they have to use the truck route. So it's not just semis like people typically think of as truck route. So it really does impact. It's hard to think of a business that doesn't use commercial traffic.
And in the area that the route is proposed to be in, tell me a little bit about some obstacles maybe that you faced.
Yes, so of course the residents no resident wants trucks going back and forth past their house more than they have to. So that's an obstacle, but really with the proposed route, it actually is a great solution for the residents, because it'll eliminate a lot of the truck traffic or commercial vehicle traffic past the residents. So that's not really an obstacle anymore. The obstacle now is we have the community college, Besser Museum, and on that corridor of Johnson from Chisholm to where the proposed route is or begins. And we did a lot of research on what that would mean to the college. We don't believe that it'll increase the traffic past there tremendously. We are looking at different options, though. Is there perhaps a way that we can eliminate that portion of the truck route, which this new route will still benefit the truckers, but they'll just have this compromise. So we are talking with the college about that. We're looking at other communities that have colleges or universities or high dense population centers, and what the traffic count is past those areas. So we're looking at a lot of data that can help us come to a compromise.
Yeah, definitely. Like Rich said, it's not a done deal right now. You guys are looking into all of these solutions, and hopefully we'll see that in the future with the plans. But in terms of planning, how is the chamber working with the city?
Well, at this point, we are kind of there for them if they need us to do something. So we're like the conduit between the business community and our membership and the city. So when they wanted us to kind of survey the members and ask how many trucks they thought they would put on this route every day, we did those surveys. We needed to get some for the grant. We had to get some of the businesses to fill out some paperwork. So we were that kind of communication link between them. And right now, like I said, we're still doing some research on it, but we're also just there if the city needs us to be that link for communication.
And tell me a little more about the funding and the grants. What kinds of things are you focusing on with this project to put out there and say that, this is why we need this funding?
Well, the city, and they talked about the grants that they had and some funds that they thought they could put into it, but there's still a bit of a gap. And the businesses, most of the businesses completely understand the value of it. And so our members, most of them are very willing, especially the ones impacted closest by this, they're very willing to actually put resources into it. We're just trying to find the mechanism that we can do that, because they can't donate product. They could donate cash, but that's very difficult for a business to do. And so we're looking to find a mechanism. There's no question that they value the project, and we don't have to make the case to them. It's a matter of how we can provide the avenue for them to, close that funding gap.
And in this kind of a little bit of a state of limbo right now, in this planning and development, what have you heard from specifically trucking businesses and transportation?
Well, they want it done. Yeah. They're very excited about it. They know that it's in the future. So construction wouldn't even happen until 2017 probably. They're very supportive of our efforts. They understand the need to probably compromise because of the whole debate about going in front of the college. And so they're just very supportive of whatever kind of needs to be done. They're willing to do it, and they're also willing to be very creative with how they can get involved to help close the gap.
Do you think that a need for further surveys will need to be done maybe for either convincing or further development?
No, not necessarily with the trucking companies or those industries.
With the public in general, maybe with the community?
Yeah, most of the public is supportive of it, as long as it's always not in my backyard. So as long as they're not the ones impacted by it, they're okay with it. It's going to be really the residents that are around there. There's going to be more questions from residents. So there will have to be some convincing. But we found some really good studies that show what the best type of crosswalk is, for that kind of situation. What the value of actually spreading out the trucks so they're not all just going down one road all the time. So there's value to that. We have some great research that backs up why this is valuable in so many ways.
And you did mention a little bit presenting this information and research to the college and possibly to the public. Is this going to be in the near future?
It'll be as needed, yes. So if that's in the near future, it's going to depend on the city's schedule and where they are at in the process. But if they need it, we want to be ready to hand it to them as soon as they ask for it.
Of course. Anything else you want to add from the Chamber's point of view of this?
Well, it's as with everything we do. We appreciate when people ask questions. So it's more valuable to us to have people ask questions than to assume things or talk about things without getting the facts or the details. And they had the public forum, and not a whole lot of people showed up. And that's a really great opportunity. So if there's more opportunities for people, if they're not happy about it or if they like it, it's always very valuable to express their views.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jackie, for joining us. We appreciate your time and information.
Thank you.
And coming up next, we'll actually be speaking with Mark Larson from Specification Stone Products to get more of the business side of it. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back to Insights into Northeast Michigan, everyone. I'm Lindsay DeLucia. Today we're talking about the new truck route that's being implemented in this city, and there's a lot going on between the Chamber and the city, and now we're actually going to be talking with Mark Larson, sales manager over at Specification Stone Products. So thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much for the invitation.
Of course, we appreciate you being here. So first, what we would like to learn from you is just kind of the business side of it and looking at the truck route from the business side, how it would impact you guys. So first, tell me what Specification Stone Products does, what you guys produce.
We are a limestone quarry. We're part of a bigger company down south, Edward C. Levy Companies. We've got multiple stone quarries around, and this particular one has been in existence since the early 80s. And they produce aggregates, everything for driveway material, for road base, for building roads, stone for concrete, asphalt materials, big stone for boat harbor projects. So pretty much all size, anything to do with limestone, we produce it.
Okay, and you guys are located where? We
are on Long Lake Avenue, right next door to the Alpena City Garage.
Okay.
Just right on the outside of town.
So I'm guessing that it's not a very easy connection to 23 from where you guys are. How many trips or distributions do you make per day about?
Well, it's a really tough thing to tell. We don't run our own trucks. Everything is either hired out through us, or we have customers that come in and buy material directly from us. I know the paper had stated 16 to 20 loads per day, talking about this new route. That's kind of a fair number if you look at how many loads we do a year, divided out by the with this new route, you'll have 3 different access points to 23.
Right.
So on an average, that's probably pretty close.
So with the trucks, your routes now, I know that you have to take a pretty major detour to get to 23. Explain that to me.
That's exactly right. When you come out of our quarry, you've got to go north on Long Lake Avenue until you get to Hamilton Road, and then west on Hamilton Road. You get to that intersection, and then you're at 23. That was pretty poor. Sorry.
No, it's okay. And so that's, how many houses do you pass doing that?
There's 28 homes between our quarry and US 23 North.
And so with the new bypass, it would be not only a much quicker route for the trucks, a much shorter distance, but you would pass a lot less homes, correct?
That is correct. If you're taking the Johnson Street exit, there's actually no homes you would pass. And then if you were to go on to 9th Street to 23, there's 13 homes. So our impact would be less, and not only the fewer homes you go past, but your speeds. With a semi truck, you're going 50, 55 miles an hour on the existing route. With the new route, you'd be 25 to 30 miles per hour. So definitely would be a safer, less impact.
Of course. Explain to me a little more the safety and how this could make not only for safer for residents, but also for the trucks traveling.
Okay. Well, with our company, one of our core values, our first core value is safety. I mean, we wouldn't even look at this if it wasn't going to be a safer option for us. But if you've ever sat down at US 23 on Hamilton Road and watched the trucks try to pull out of there at lunchtime, after work, say at 3 o'clock when everybody's getting out of work, it's an absolute chaos. Cars have to slow down because the trucks, in order for them to get out, they actually have to pull in front of cars. So it's really an unsafe intersection. The current route also, you have a lot of bikers, a lot of runners will use that truck route for exercise. So there are a lot of obstacles there. And by this other truck route, it would definitely eliminate that, or at least bring the possibility of an accident down.
And the whole reason for this detour that you guys have to take is you don't have access to these back roads, right?
That's correct.
And so it's been a while since you've had access to these, and why do you think that is? I mean,
well, I know it's been over 10 years since you could take Long Lake Avenue to connect to the other truck route. I know the local residents on Long Lake Avenue didn't like trucks, on the road, which I understand. And with this bypass, you eliminate that road altogether. You'll go behind all the homes. You're far enough away from the soccer field. I mean, basically, you're extending Commerce Drive, following the train tracks over to Johnson Street. So you're away from all the residential. In fact, at this point, you're away from a lot of the businesses.
How do you think this would impact your business?
It would be very positive. I mean, we were hoping that we could pick up more work. The trucking market is very competitive. The costs keep going up on trucking. Well, the trucking costs keep going up. It's very common for material costs to be less than the trucking cost per ton. So every minute we can save, from the calculations on where it's at, you're going to save a minimum of 20 minutes. Say a half an hour on average if you're going south of town. And that 30 minutes is huge when it comes to winning or losing bids. So that would definitely help our business. And the more business we get, the more we want to hire people and increase the size.
Absolutely,
helps the community.
Exactly. And you had a public input session Monday night. The chamber was there, the city was there, obviously. Did you see anything specific come from the public that they are thinking of it? Any misconceptions, possibly?
There was one gentleman where I think he was misunderstood where the road was at, where the bypass road was at, where I think he was for it once he saw where the road went, because it doesn't go by his house anymore, it goes behind it, so that's a much, again, safer option. And I know the college was also concerned about traffic with students crossing back and forth. But I know there was also a lot of talk afterwards on how to alleviate that. I mean, with a stoplight for the students or for the cars, or some way of doing that.
And so what's next for you guys with this plan? Is there any further push that you can make, or?
Again, being safety is our number one concern. If it's a safer option for us, we will definitely keep pushing forward with this, all we can do, and help where we can to make this happen. Being a safer option, it also does, I know there's a lot of talk on convenience. It's more of a cost thing than convenience, and it would definitely help us secure more work and grow in the future.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Oh, you're welcome.
And thanks so much for watching Insights into Northeast Michigan. Tune in next week to learn more about what's going on in our community. Have a great day.
Insights into Northeast Michigan is produced by WBKB News. If you have any comments, suggestions, or topics you would like to see on a future show, please email WBKB News. This has been a production of Thunder Bay Broadcasting Corporation. All rights reserved.
The furniture and set design for this episode of Insights is provided by Young Appliance Art Van Furniture on US 23 South, Alpena.